Yeah, hi everybody. It's me again, Ahmed Kayode Alabi, and I'm here to take you through the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program essay questions. I've once answered the question already, so if you haven't seen the video, you can go back to the channel and look at the video where I answered 4 of the questions, and now I'll be looking at the last question. And also, if you haven't clicked the subscribe button, please do so. Yeah, so now I'll be looking at the last question, and you leave the best for the last, that's what they say. The MasterCard Foundation is a growing network of diverse scholars. One of the key attributes of this network is a commitment to inclusion. What experience do you have promoting social inclusion? What have you learned? So again, this question is also a question that I'll answer with STAR approach, but now with an element of L. So STAR, so situation, task, action, result, and lessons. So what is the situation, what is the task, what is the action, what is the result, and what are the lessons? What did you learn from it? It's good that you answer a question from a particular point of view or from a particular, approach. It's a growing network of a diverse scholar. One of the key attributes of this network is commitment to inclusion, right? What experience do you have promoting social inclusion? So I could look at, what in my work, in my day-to-day work, in my office, in whatever I'm doing, how am I promoting social inclusion, right? So I think that's the first thing you need to ask yourself. And then you look at the situation in your work where you've been able to do that in practice, where you've been able to do that, and what did you learn from that? Were there people who kind of rebel against you? Did you practice more listening? You need to look at the attributes of what it means to be a MasterCard Foundation scholar, so the attributes of what it means to become a transformative leader, and how you're able to include others. Is it even your story? So the first thing you need to understand, do I have a lived experience, where I've been excluded from things, or I've been excluded from opportunities? How was I included? What did I do to be included? What were the things that I did? What were the steps that I take? And what have I learned from that process, right? So if you have lived experience, it's good to share, of how you've been excluded from opportunities. For example, if you're a refugee, this is an opportunity to tell your story as well. Or if you're displaced, or if you have disability, this is where you then shine in your personal story and how your story has inspired you to promote that particular, social inclusion, and what you've learned from standing up for others, right? So if I were to answer this question, I would be how sometimes, because for example, for me in my case, because I grew up in the rural and underserved communities, how I don't have access to the right education, the right mentoring, the right tools to succeed, and how I felt like I could do something about that, and I started teaching. And as I was teaching, I also saw these problems happening in my classroom. Right, so you could use different kind of examples. There's no right or wrong answer to this particular question. I feel like it's the most hardest question to tackle, but I think it's very important that you look at the question carefully. You look at the elements of the question. It could even be your family story, right? So I could remember there's a method I used to use to answer this particular question that you could use to answer this particular question, or I used to answer my essay question. Is a model of storytelling by Marshall Gans, and it's the CCO model, the challenge, the choices and outcome model. So for example, what challenge were you facing growing up? If you're eating, let's say for example you're a girl child, and maybe before they serve everybody, they have to serve the boy child before they serve you in the dining table. Or because you're a girl child, you're not being paid attention to, and how that affected you basically, and how you've seen that problem and you spoke about it as a young person or as a young teenager, and how that has sparked a movement in the work that you do, blah blah blah, and how now everybody is finding courage to speak up about issues as that, to include a girl child maybe in education. So again, you need to think, so that's a challenge you face as a child. What were the choices that you make? So the choices could be speaking up at home, and how speaking up has helped you, right? To do so and so, and how now you're running so and so, and you're giving other people courage. And what you've learned is that, for example, I could say that what I've learned in that process is that courage is not just internal, courage is external. Courage is when people speak up about this particular issue, that if you want to drive, social inclusion, there's a need for people to have open conversation and speak up about these issues. And that's what, give other people courage to also speak up. And that's how other people are included and other people are heard. In fact, you could even start this particular question with a quote. I know that Roy says something that there's no such thing as the voiceless. There are only the people who are preferably unheard or deliberately silenced. I have been silenced. There's a way you could change, just be creative, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a way you could answer this question and be creative about it. For me, I feel like I didn't answer this question during my time, so I feel like it's the most hardest question to answer. But again, it's personal to you, it's unique to you, and then all you have to do is to think and reflect and answer the question. Again, reflect on each question. Why are they asking this question in the first place? Read through the program, read through the website, read through everything, speak to alumnus or alumni if you can speak to them. Get everything you can, learn, research, reflect, on each question.